Mobility, Kaisa is back.
Yeah, look good.
Like he never left.
Look good.
That makes sense.
Oh shit. Now we gotta.
A hard-fought best-of-3 from St. Louis, but some things just stay the damn same. Winthrop University win their second straight land and are your 2023 66 champions.
Go, baby. Oh, let's go. Woo! Yes! Smurf, let's go, game. Oh, word, we go. Yes, dude, good work.
66 esports champion.
This shit looks clean.
It is clean. It's gonna look good next to our other trophy. It's gonna look pretty good next to the Gear Festival.
We might as well have one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we win,
Might
we
as
might as well
well.
win, I guess.
The whole game and did nothing.
Josh, how do we feel? How do we feel after this win?
Man, it was never in doubt. It was never in doubt. It's always coming home.
My name is David Wrigley. Mobility is my IGN, and I am the AD carry for Winthrop.
My name is Noah Erickson. I'm the top laner for Winthrop Esports, and I go by Denathor in game.
The airport, oh man, it's kind of a blur. We were just at the airport for like 15 hours. Flights being delayed, flights being canceled, running around. And then we showed up at 66 with no sleep.
It started out with a late flight at like around 6 p.m. and we sat there for a few hours in the airport, just delaying, and then eventually it just got canceled. And it was looking pretty grim. 2 quick flights into a 2.5-hour car ride where I'm sitting in the middle seat and getting no sleep at all, except a hurt shoulder in like 15 minutes. And that was about it. And then straight into games. They were also delayed.
I don't think there was that many good teams. I don't think we've really faced anybody that good until we met SLU in the finals. But group stage was pretty fun. It was fun to just show up and play Zaya and then go home to the hotel and sleep.
Playing in a hockey stadium was pretty interesting. You could see the ice like right below the floor. But I would say the best thing about it was when you would go into the stage, you'd see like the whole arena, empty seats. And I could just picture walking out the same way I was walking out there with the stadium full of people and them like cheering for me walking out. It was a good thing to visualize right before our games.
The reason SLU's able to keep making finals against us is because they have 5 good players as well in each role, all probably top 3 in their role in CLO at least. And they also have a very good coaching staff. They also just added Deus, so we could tell the week going into 66 that they had, and even playing them when we were there, that they have very set things that you could see that they practice, that they kind of do like every single game, which I don't agree is the best coaching or best way to do it, but I think they're very like strict on how they did it. Same thing every single game. You can tell they like drilled it, and it kind of drilled into their head. So I think definitely in CLO, when you do stuff like that, more times than not, you're just able to beat most teams just off you're doing the macro better than them. And like their herald plays and everything, their first 10 minutes are like really drilled and really good. And I think a lot of teams in CLO will just kind of into that if you're just doing that very well every single game. But I think our team is able to also match them on that stuff because we're very drilled. But our biggest strength is when you give us like an inch, we'll take a mile in mid game. Like there was plenty of games where like 15 minutes we're even gold, and then we're ending the game at 19 minutes with 10K gold lead. So we're very good at playing the mid game and the late game on rotations and stuff like that. So that's why we're always usually able to beat everybody we play against.
Yeah. Okay.
We're able to match them with our early game as well, because ours is drilled just as well. And I think our mid game macro and our team fighting and how we set up team fights and just like mechanics diff as well. I think we just have the 5 best players in every role.
Yeah.
But along with our team fighting, we're just able to slightly out team fight them every single game and have better setups. And our team's best strength is like everybody knowing their roles in every single team fight, every single game. So I think that's where we're usually able to beat them at.
SLU doesn't seem like they should be a top contender all the time, but I think going into the matches, they don't have like these expectations that other teams do, and they don't have big egos. Like after the game against SLU, Winston came up to us and was really nice, saying that we're always that team that he looks to face, and he's very humble about it, and he knows that we're a good team, and they just seem like in general like really fun to play against. They don't have egos like other teams do, looking at Maryville and Ole Miss, and they kind of just play their game every time. They play consistently and they play well.
It's been nice. I think we've kind of gotten what we deserved. I think for the last 3-4 months we practice or study or review or work harder than every single team. So I think that really shows every time we show up to the tournament. We don't even gotta have the best practice leading up to it, but we know we're a very different team when it's like game day, game time. Everybody knows how to lock in, and I think that just comes through all the preparation and working hard and all the things we do leading up to it and all the work we put in the last few months.
The LAN that we just had, 66 LAN, there was a lot of things thrown at us, and I'm proud of everyone on the entire Winthrop staff that was there and the team for playing so well and pushing past that. And it was as if it didn't even happen. It just felt like we were there to win.
My name's Connor Doyle. Most people would know me as Artemis, and I'm the head coach of League Legends here at Winthrop, so I run everything in League. So my expectations going to 66 were pretty high. I think publicly I told people that I wasn't expecting to win the tournament because I try not to be too outcome focused. I try to be more process oriented, but when I was looking, we scrimmed Maryville and SLU the week leading up to 66, so I kind of had a pretty good read on the other top teams that were going, and I didn't think that they would be good enough to beat us. So I expected us to win. Yeah, there was a lot of memorable games from the event. I think one that sticks out to me was actually the Harrisburg game. I think they were in our group. I think it was a group stage game against Harrisburg where I actually thought that they played really well. And I don't know why necessarily that game stuck out to me, but they didn't win a game at Hugh, and then they came in and they took a game off Maryville, I think, in their best of series, and also in their game against us, I actually thought that they drafted really intelligently and they played well too. So it just stuck out to me because of the improvement. Like they looked totally different than they did at Hugh. As far as, yeah, I mean, the Ole Miss games stuck out to me too for another reason. Like we really dominated Ole Miss this time. Like we actually lost to them in the group stage at Hugh Fest. They were our only loss to the tournament, besides losing one game to SLU in finals. And I think that they were pretty cocky about that. Like they were talking a lot, and they were saying that we're not that good, and like they thought they could beat us. And like Shogo, their AD carry, he's loud and he loves to talk trash. And I knew that there was no chance we would lose to this team. There's absolutely no chance. I think that our top side is head and shoulders better than them. I also think our bot lane is better than them, despite what they might think. So we had a very specific game plan for Ole Miss that we were going to contain Shogo in the bot lane, and we were going to attack their top side. And we won first game in 20 minutes. Second game, we should have won in 17 minutes. We're actually on their Nexus at 17 minutes. We only didn't win because Sora didn't hit the Nexus, but that should have been probably the fastest best of 3 of the year, maybe of a couple years. So I was really proud of the way we bounced back, because they were talking a lot, and I think that game meant a little bit more to us than other games just because of what they were saying. So I felt really good to dominate them. And then, of course, the finals against SLU, I remember every single minute of those games. It felt exactly like Hugh, where we beat them game 1 in kind of like a nail-biter, where like you weren't really sure which way it was going to go. I found out after the fact that we were actually down like 6K in that game at the worst, but I felt like we're in it the whole time, and we actually won it off of a really good call from Sword, where he's calling for Denathor to TP behind them when they're sieging our bot T2. Denathor TP flanks, he one-shots the Jinx, and we kill 4 of them, and then I think we also got a lot of their flashes too, so the next like 5 minutes of the game were a lot easier for us to play. And after that win, I was like, okay, we're winning finals no matter what. And then we go on to lose the second game with probably my favorite draft of the best of 3. I thought we adapted really well. I think we were on red side twice. I think maybe we went from blue to red, I don't remember. We were red side in game 2, and we had some really strong adaptations. We took away the Azir. We were playing like Nautilus, and they hit like a 5-man Rel Rumble combo in Bot River in a dragon fight, and the game was basically over. Like snowball from there. So we adapted going to game 3. We banned Rel, we banned Rumble, which I think were smart adaptations on our end, and then won the game. And again, kind of a close game, but a game that I felt we were winning the whole time. So it was exactly like Hugh. I think that SLU was a lot better at 66 than they were at Hugh, and I think we had improved a lot too, because if we had just stayed the same, if we were the same team that played at Hugh, I think SLU would have won. And if like SLU was going back in time and playing at Hugh, they probably would have won too. So it was clear to me that SLU really improved a ton, and also that we had improved a ton as well to beat them. And in my opinion, Winthrop and SLU are head and shoulders above the rest of the pack of collegiate. I think our success comes from a lot of different places in this roster, and I think it's very different from last year because last year I basically showed up on stage in LA and like drafted. Like I didn't really have a chance to affect the team environment or work with players one-on-one. So now I've had months with the guys, individually and as a team. And I think one of the areas that we really excel and that we've improved on a lot is keeping our vibe positive in practice and being hard on each other at the same time. Because that's really difficult to do. Like a lot of times if you're being intense in review and you're giving feedback like intensely and you're really being hard on yourself and hard on each other, it's easy to let like negativity kind of persist in that environment. But despite that, we can be really hard on ourselves and hard on each other. We can like argue it out sometimes. We'll try and avoid that, but sometimes it happens. And then after that, like we'll just go queue up a Val game and like have fun together. And the vibes between the players and between the team is just immaculate all the time. And I think another area that's different this year than last year is I've had time to build trust with all the players. Like when I first came to the team last year, I really just like watched a lot. I let them know that this is your team. Like I'm here to help. Like it was like servant leadership where like, where can I help you guys? Like I'm gonna do everything I can to help you, but this is your team. And that was probably weird for them to hear because I was coming from LCS. They probably thought that, oh, this guy's just gonna come in and tell us what to do. But I was very much like, no, like you guys tell me what we're gonna do and like I'm gonna help us get there. And I maintained a lot of those same themes going into this year because I remember when I was 18, like I didn't want anybody to tell me what to do, right? And these guys are now living on their own, they're in college, and despite being in a team with a leader, they don't want people to tell them what to do. They want to figure it out for themselves. And when you give players ownership of the team, I said this so many times in the first few weeks, I said, guys, this is your team. Like, this is your team. This is not my team. Like, this is your team. I was giving it to them, right? And because they feel more ownership of the team and ownership of the process, they are more likely to do a lot of the little things right. It's about self-efficacy, right? Like, I can't just do it for them because when they're on stage, I'm not there at all. I can't talk to them at all, which is why it's so important for the coach to just be more of a guide in that problem-solving process. And we see this in elite sport as well, where like in invasion games like soccer, rugby, Gaelic football, like these games, the pitch is so big that the coach doesn't really have a lot of impact in the game. He has a lot of impact in practice, but the way that they design training is they try and make it as representative of the game as possible, so as close to match conditions as they can. And the practice is a search for the solution to the problem that the players encounter. So it's this exact same thing in league where they're learning, 80% of what they learn comes from the game itself. The feedback that they get from the game, the mistakes they make, they feel. The plays that the other players make, they feel that. And then, 10% is gonna come from the feedback that they get from each other. And then 10% comes from me, right? And I think that you, as a coach, you need to drop the ego and recognize that the players are learning from the game and the players are learning from each other. And I'm here to guide that process. And that's not to say that I haven't brought a lot of things that were new to them, because in my time in LCS, I was really fortunate to work with just a ton of amazing players and coaches. And the knowledge that I have now is just completely different than the knowledge I had when I went into LCS. And I've been able to bring a ton of that here to Winthrop, which I think is a real competitive advantage. But at the same time, I think the guys deserve a ton of credit because they have really taken ownership of the team, and they've taken ownership of the whole process from, draft. I encourage them to be vocal in game. They know it's their game. In review, it's their review. And I'm just really proud of the way that we've come together as a team. I'm very internal, where I care about the people around me that I care about, and I care about helping them and doing what I can do for them. So I'm really proud of my team. I'm proud of you guys, and I'm excited for CLOL.
It's gonna do it, Winthrop! They are going to be your Route 66 LAN champions. What a showing from them!